So let's look at the liner. So the liner is also a wall. It's a stationary wall. If you look at a spark plug, it's a stationary wall. The only thing is the spark plug is at a higher temperature. So Himanshu, these type of temperature measurements are given to you by experimentalists. So basically, if you work in an OEM, right, say in GM, there's a team of engineers who do experiments, correct? They basically measure all this data and they give it to you. And that is how you set up the value. So for example, let's take a look at the exhaust valve. For the valves, what I do is I have a particular profile. I have a particular profile for the valves, which can come from multiple things. You can generate it from CAD, or you can generate it from a multi-body dynamic simulation. This is basically when the valve is going to start opening. This is the maximum lift position, and this is, for example, the valve is opening here. This is the maximum lift, and the valve is closing down here. Okay, so this profile and the starting and ending point are quite crucial. You need to give it correctly. So you kind of follow the same process for the intake as well, and that's basically a boundary condition setup. Again, I'm cutting down on a lot of details. If there's something that you want me to talk about, just let me know. So then comes your really, really complex modeling process, spray model, right? I'll just tell you what models I've used, and that will help you understand how complex it is. So for parcel distribution, I'm using something. I'm basically saying that the parcel distribution needs to be uniform, and for turbulent dispersion, I'm using the O'Rourke model. For vaporization, I'm using the Frost-Lync model. And the evaporation source, we are basically setting a flag called 0, which says source specified species. I know that I was kind of, it might have sounded like I'm just reading the screen, but all of these decisions have been made carefully, and I'll explain to you as much as possible. So first of all, simulating the entire spray as it is, simulating the atomization event as is impossible when you're running it with IC engine simulation. If you're doing it separately, you can, but running it within an IC engine simulation is going to be impossible, at least for the next 5 to 6 years. Why? Because atomization itself is a complex process. People have simulated atomization alone, and the amount of computing power that they have to use for that is just unbelievably crazy. You need a minimum of 200 to 300 million cells, right? That is the amount of mesh points you need to capture atomization accurately or close to accurately. All right. On top of that, if you're having combustion, turbulent flow, it's just completely impossible. So what we do is we basically say that, okay, I'm just going to approximate my spray. How do I do that? Well, let us assume that my liquid spray is made up of small drops, and these drops are called as parcels, right? So that is what you call as a parcel. And we're saying that when injection takes place, there's a cone, right? There's an injection cone, right? Because there's a spread angle. So your fuel injection will always be in a cone. And I can actually show that to you. So here, if I actually enable the injector, you can see that cone, right? That is what you call as a spray cone. That is inside that cone, injection will take place. So we are saying that we are going to be distributing parcels evenly through this cone, all right? And when the flow is turbulent, what's going to happen is your spray velocities are going to be affected by this turbulence. So you have something called your turbulence governing equations, your K and epsilon equations. They have a source term. This source term is going to basically affect your parcel velocities. And that will affect its drag force, that will affect its vaporization characteristics, everything. And here we are using something called as a Frost-Lync model. What does this model do? Again, I'll explain it very shortly. Since I have a sphere, right, what I can do is, as vaporization takes place, my sphere becomes smaller and smaller, correct? So what I can do is, I can basically solve this heat transfer problem, and I can get the expression for dr by dt, which is basically saying how much the radius drops as a function of time. Because if I know dr by dt, I can compute dm by dt, right? Fairly straightforward. So dm by dt basically tells me the vaporization rate. And to capture the vaporization rate, Frost-Lync basically proposed a formula, which is what you call as the Frost-Lync model, right? So understanding all of these terms in this level of detail is very important so that you can use it carefully. Else you just be randomly selecting models, and most likely it will result in an incorrect simulation.